Welcome everyone to Monday Momentum. And today is a little. I'm really interested about what I'm really interested um, about the topic that we're talking about today, because I think it's really important, and it's that 1%. What does 1% really mean? I want to start today by dismantling that myth that maybe a lot of us have been carrying over the years, and it's that success requires massive action. It requires huge leaps, maybe even like dramatic overhauls. Like, in order to be successful, I have to do this, I have to be that. And I almost want to say that it's not true. This is what I can tell you as truth based on experience, based on conversations that I've had. But it's that change doesn't happen in the giant moment. So, like in that big, like grand gesture, change doesn't happen. It happens in tiny, just like really tiny, really ordinary daily actions. It's in those tiny moments, those ordinary moments, those daily moments. That's when we really see change happening. And I think that's what the 1% rule is all about. It is very tiny improvements that are made consistently that will compound into transformation. I talk about this all the time. And I always say it's consistency, it's reps, it's showing up, it's doing the little things every single day. I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's what we need to learn and we need to take away. But if you think about it, right, if you get 1% better every single day, think about who you'll be by the end of the year. Even if we're 8 months into the year, right? If you started today and you got 1% better every single day, by the end of the year, right? You're going to be almost unrecognizable. But because you also think about adding the power of compounding, right? So let's just say it's January 1 and you get 1% better every single day and you do it for 365 days, right? You would be 37 times better. And that's really the power of compounding. So I just want you to sit with that for a second. And it's not something major, right? It's not, again, it's not big changes. It's tiny things that, like, the first few times you do it, you won't notice it. Nobody will notice it. And I think that that's very, very important. That's something that we need to think about. So today, right, I want us to dive into, let me, one sec, put my phone in silent. Today, I want us to dive into a few things that I want us to think about, right? The first thing I want us to think about is think through why these small shifts create massive transformation. Like, what are you doing that will create massive transformation every single day? And then think about how you can apply that 1% rule to every area of your life. I think that is very, very important. And also, I want us to kind of think through maybe what a framework looks like that we can track that 1% so that you don't quit before you see results. Because I think that's one of the big things that we struggle with is that because those changes are so small, right? Before you see like big change, you might want to give up and you might just want to say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. So that's how I want us to think about it, right? This isn't about doing everything, it's just about doing something small every single day. It should feel the same as, like, I always use this example, brushing your teeth or like waking up, or if you're a coffee drinker like me, like making coffee every single day, right? That's what this should feel like. It should be something that you just that's part of your daily routine, right? So that it's not hard to do. It's small enough that you keep doing it, but giant enough that the results are massive when you compound them, when you add them together. So I want to give you an example, right? And the example is just like the analogy behind the small changes. When you think about flying a plane, right? Or if you've been in an airplane, right? If the pilot shifts the nose of the plane just 1 degree, you won't notice that immediately, right? Because it's just 1 degree, not that much will change. But after flying that 1 degree change for hours, that tiny adjustment will land you almost in a completely different country from your original destination. Just think about that. And that's like 1 degree, right? So that's how much that 1%, that one tiny change makes a big difference. And that's what the 1% rule is all about. And I think if you can think about that and understand that analogy and apply it to your life, I think you will come to a better understanding as to why that's important. So, like, for example, 1% better with money. Like, what does that mean? That might be choosing to save a few dollars every day and then think about what you've built in a year in terms of, and this can be your strategy for thinking about wealth, right? Like if you can manage this, if you can save this, then you can translate that to bigger and better things, right? And so think about like 1% in your health today. What does that look like? Maybe that's walking an extra 10 minutes every day or whenever you go out to walk, and maybe that's doing 2 extra push-ups every single day, right? But in a year, if you kept doing that, your heart would be better, your stamina would be better. And so that's how kind of how you can think about why the 1% matters. And even if you think about like, okay, so maybe 1% in relationships, what does that mean? Let's say you decide today that I'm going to send one intentional text message every single day. In a year, right? That will translate to deeper connections that are being formed. So it's not that one text that one day that made a difference, but it's building over time. And maybe you say, okay, I can't text every day. Maybe you say on Saturdays, I'm free in the morning. Maybe I could do one phone call, right? Imagine what that would do if you did one phone call for 52 weeks every for the year. How would that strengthen that one relationship? So I want you to think about it as that when you're thinking about, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? These small wins, they feel very invincible, like when you're doing it at the moment, right? They feel like I can't see it, it's just invisible. But I want you to know that they're compounding behind the scenes. So they're adding to make you better, to make you stronger, to make you wealthier, to make you wiser, whatever it is that you're putting that effort into. This is how I want you to think about it, right? When you start thinking about, well, how can I do it? How can I live by the 1% rule? The first thing I want you to think about is to make your micro move. So I keep like emphasizing tiny, right? Don't overwhelm yourself with 20 goals. I say just pick one. Pick one area that you're like, okay, this is the one area that I'm going to go all in on, right? So you could ask yourself, like, what's the one thing that I could do today that if I do it, like it feels very easy. Like it didn't take me any extra time, effort, brain power, heart power, mind power. I just did it, right? So the big one I always think about, and I always talk about health because, we can think about, oh, I want to get fit, I want to lose weight. But what if that means, okay, I'm just going to wake up and do 5 push-ups every morning when I get out of bed? Like that's simple. It's easy. Or do 10 crunches, whatever it is that you like to do, right? So instead of thinking about this whole like, I want to lose weight, I want to get fit, you just keep it simple. And then I would say, like if you're aspiring to say write a book or like learn how to code, right? You could say, I'm going to write one paragraph every single day. And that's not a lot, right? But imagine one paragraph every day for a whole year. I bet you that could turn into a book. Or if you're like, okay, I want to learn how to code. If you learn one thing, to help you get to that goal or watch one video, imagine in a year you'll be able to do that very easily, right? Or instead of saying like I just want to save money, maybe you can say, okay, for every purchase I make, I'm going to round up that amount and toss it in a savings account or put that into savings. Like I'm just giving you, I want us to think easy, practical. Like some of these might not apply to you, but figure out what applies to you. The magic is not in the size, it's in the showing up, it's in the doing the thing every single day. So that's the one thing I want you to think about. And then I would say the next thing is like, think about like anchoring it to something that you already do. So what I've learned is that habits, they stick better when they're tied to existing routines. So something you do every day. So I brought up the example of like brushing your teeth, right? After you brush your teeth, you might have your journal by you and you might just write, right? You might just like pour your thoughts in the beginning of the day into that, if that's something that you want to do every day. Or I told you I like coffee. So like as I'm making my coffee, maybe I do something like towards my goal. Maybe I write, if I'm thinking about writing a book, maybe I write 3 lines or something. Like whatever it is that pertains to you, maybe you do that and you anchor it to a habit. So it makes it so much easier. You're like, okay, as I'm doing this, I'll just do that as well. Or like as I'm making coffee, maybe I do my 20 jumping jacks and call it a day, right? That will help you remove any friction, right? It just becomes automatic. So you want it to just be like routine. It's not necessarily, routine isn't bad, it's just something that you're going to do so that you can succeed. And then I always talk about this is like celebrate the tiny stuff. We are so big on wanting to like celebrate the big stuff, the milestones, like the golden jubilee or whatever it is, right? But like if you try to just celebrate the streaks and the tiny things, right, then your brain we'll keep going, because like the brain needs proof that like, okay, I'm doing this thing, I'm seeing it, I'm getting better. So track it, because when you start tracking it, when you start celebrating it, right, it builds belief. Like you're like, okay, I did this, I can continue to do this, I can take this to the next level. So think about maybe using a journal, a habit app or something, or even if it's like a sticky note, like to the side of my wall here, like I have a bunch of sticky notes, and it's just reminders, or it's things I did, or things I want to turn, when I turn my head I want to see, right? So create that habit. Every check mark that you put, it tells your brain that like, I'm the kind of person who shows up, I'm the kind of person who does the thing that I'm supposed to do. And that's what that feels like. So this is what my mentor told me, and I think it's so powerful, is that consistency builds confidence. And then when you become confident, that builds your identity. So then you're the kind of person who shows up, you're the kind of person who does this or does that. And then that identity is what builds transformation. So then you own it, right? So from consistency, then you get confidence. From confidence, then you get your identity. From your identity, then it leads to transformation. So you're like, okay, I got this, I'm doing this, I'm the kind of person that does this, right? Like 10 push-ups is not difficult. Now I can think about, oh, that can get me closer to my 10-pound weight loss, my 20 pounds, whatever it is. But that's how you have to think about it, right? And I will tell you this, that now this 1%, it can be difficult, and this is the hard part, I would say, about it, right? This is the part that maybe nobody tells you. That 1% rule, it can feel very boring at first. It can feel invisible because you're just doing this tiny thing. It feels like nothing is happening, right? But I want you to think about the reps. I want you to think about doing it over and over and over, and then seeing result that comes from that, right? And I think that that's the test. The question is, can you stay the course long enough for you to let the compounding happen, for you to let that compounding kick in and take effect, right? It doesn't happen day one. It might happen day 30. It actually might happen day 90, right? But you have to be willing to stick around to see the results, to see the fruition that comes from what you're doing. So that's kind of what I want to tell you about. Like, I've told you all the things you need to do, but I also realize that it can be hard, especially when you're doing something so small and so minute and so minuscule that you don't see change happen right away. So I want you to kind of think about this. When you think about the hard and you think about the mundane and the boring, right? There are a lot of people that will quit between the planting the seed and seeing the harvest. That period, that germination period, that growth period, that maybe that period that happens underground that nobody is seeing, that is when most people quit. So I would say, if you're in this, right, if you're pushing, then I would say don't quit. Get to see the harvest, get to see the growth, get to see the change, get to see the habit being formed, get to see the transformation, whatever that looks like for you. But you have to stick around long enough, right? Like I said, it doesn't happen day one. It might be 30, might be 60, might be 90, but like, develop the mindset, that you are the person who sees it through, you're the person who follows up, you're the person who shows up. I think that's important. And then you might be asking, I'm all about Monday momentum, practical. What are we doing that's moving us, right? I'd say pick one area in your life that you're going to implement this. So is it health? Is that what you need to use it? Is it wealth? Is it relationships? Is it mindset? Is it your business? Pick one area and just say, you know what? I'm going to go all in. Again, man, it's about to be September. Wow. So like we have 4 months to go, right? Yep, 4 months to go. I had to count it out. But imagine what it would look like if you said, I'm going to do this every day until the end of the year. And then choose one tiny action. Remember, we're not choosing 20 big goals. We're not choosing massive. We're just choosing small. Then I'd say anchor it to something that you do every day. So just like pick something you do, add that to it. If you get to work and you check your email, add something to that, right? And then I would just say, instead of me telling you, like, do it for the next 4 months, track it for the next 7 days. Write it down, put it on your phone, put it in your notes app, send a text message to yourself, write it on a wall, put check boxes next to it, and check it as you do it, whatever it is, right? And at the end of the day, I would say this is the part that is accountability, right? Share that one thing that you did, share publicly, send me a message in the community, send me a message, send me a DM, whatever. Accountability is fuel. It's the, like, it's fanning into flames what you're already doing. It's the embers that you need to toss in to like light it up. But whatever that is, I think you should do it. Okay, so I want to leave you with this final thought, right? So I've kind of talked you through the steps. We've talked about what makes it difficult. We've talked about practical, how you can do. Now I'd say just go do it, right? This is a final thought that I want to leave you with is that the small hinges, they swing big doors. Now, so you might be asking, like, what does that mean? So it means that the life that you want, it's not hiding behind some massive leap, right? It's not hiding behind some huge thing that you're going to do tomorrow. It's just that daily 1% commitment that you're committing to yourself. And so this week I would say choose your 1%. Like you might even write it. That might be your post tomorrow. Like I'm choosing my 1%. But choose it, protect it, celebrate it, right? And by the time that you look back, by the time you look back, let's say in 7 days or in 30 days, right? You won't just be better. I can guarantee you that you will be unrecognizable. And I think that is something that all of us want, right? That we can become unrecognizable and that we can like now we can share and tell someone else this is how I did it. So that's all I got. Think about your 1% this week. It's Monday, and I think it's so perfect that we do this because then you have your whole week, right? So you can sit today, whether it's afternoon or evening, wherever time zone you're in, right? You can think about, okay, this is the thing that I want to do today. This is the step that I want to take to move me forward. What does that look like? So I'd say go do it. If you have any questions, toss it in the chat. If you have any comments, but yeah, let's just go crush this week. And it starts with asking yourself, like, what is that 1%? And decide that I'm choosing 1% today. Okay. On that note, I will let everyone have the rest of their Monday. Have a wonderful day, everyone.